Is a journalist who's reported from Yemen since 2010. She joins us over Skype from Cheltenham here in the UK. So who do you think the supporters of Saleh will now align with?
Right now, I think they're probably scrambling to secure themselves and for safety, really, because the Houthis are going to be actively hunting them down, I'm sure, in Sana'a. And they're going to, as you say, be looking for somebody to rally around. Of course, Saleh's son is out of the country in the UAE. Potentially, he could be a figure that they would rally around, but he's not on the ground in Yemen right now. So, but in the immediate term, I think they'll be looking for their own personal safety, really, as the try and crack down.
I'm not sure if we can still hear. I think if we've lost Iona Craig there. Iona, if you can still hear me. When Saleh turned against the Houthis, his former allies, do you think he misjudged their power?
I think there was always going to come a time when there was going to be a split, but I think that time probably came earlier than Ali Abdullah Saleh anticipated, and that's what proved catastrophic for him. Certainly, the Houthis had spent a lot of time over the last 2.5 years consolidating their power, and when I was in Sana'a just in October, they were very bolsterous about that. They had seen that they had actually swallowed up a lot of the power, particularly within the military of Saleh supporters, who had, in fact, they claimed switched and were now supporting them. And certainly what appears to be the case in Sana'a over the last few days is they quite clearly had the upper hand.
So what about the internationally recognised President Hadi's call for people to rise up against the Houthis? How much traction will that have?
Well, I think there's not going to be a huge amount of confidence to do that now, given what has happened to Ali Abdullah Saleh today. And any attempt by people to do that there will be a huge crackdown by the Houthis now, seeking to hunt out anybody who's been seen to support Saleh or was involved in any way in the fighting over the last 5 or 6 days in Sana'a. So it's going to be incredibly hard for that to happen. And unless there is significant support, particularly on the ground, I think now from coalition forces, that's unlikely to happen, given the response that there will be now from the Houthis to anybody who tries to stand against them in the capital.
And what about the reaction from the Saudi-led coalition in this situation? What do you think they're going to do?
Well, I think that the problem here is that obviously Saleh flipping against the Houthis and calling for people to rise up against them with a view of doing a deal with the coalition was their main play, was their main game of getting out of this war, really. And that has obviously spectacularly backfired. What's likely to happen now is a very harsh response from the coalition in the form of airstrikes. There's talk, obviously, of troop movements, but what will materialise from that at the moment remains to be seen. But certainly the main way that the Saudi coalition had of getting themselves out of this war, that door has now been closed. And I think it'll be a long time yet before the Houthis will indeed agree to any kind of deal or even to talks now with the coalition, depending on what happens in the coming days, really, in the form of fighting and violence now. This is more a direct war between the Houthis and the Saudi coalition.
Iona Craig, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts on the subject, and apologies for the quality of that line.